They broke my grandpa's arm on his own front lawn. The HOA president called it a compliance check, like snapping bones was part of the rule book. 72 hours, that's all they gave us before eviction notices turned into something worse. And I swore right then if they wanted a war, they were going to get one. I was 100 miles away when the hospital called. A nurse tried to sugarcoat it, an accident, she said, stable condition. But my grandpa doesn't just fall. The last time he fell was out of a helicopter in '68, and he landed on his feet. So I turned my Harley around and rode like the devil was chasing me. When I walked into his room, his left arm was entombed in plaster-purple bruises crawling up his face. "Just some trouble with the homeowners association," he muttered. That's how he put it, like a dripping faucet. But when he admitted 2 hired goons held him down while one snapped his arm, I knew this wasn't neighborhood politics anymore. This was war. The cops didn't care. They called it a civil matter. HOA dispute. Unless I had video or a confession, it was my word against theirs. My grandpa told me to leave it alone, let the law handle it. But I've seen enough of the law's blind spots to know no one was coming. And when someone lays a hand on my family, I finish it always. Her name was Karen Tom, the kind of woman who moved into a quiet community and turned it into her private kingdom. First it was little rules, trash cans, grass height. Then it was thousands in fines, threats from lawyers' fees disguised as community improvements. She had a board of sycophants, 2 bodyguards at every meeting, and now a plan to sell the whole neighborhood to Omnicorp, some faceless tech giant. My grandpa was one of the last holdouts, so she sent her muscle to break him. She thought that would be the end of it. It was the beginning. I called my cousin Razer, president of the Iron Sentinels Motorcycle Club. He didn't ask questions, he just said where and when. By mid-afternoon, the roar of a dozen Harleys shook the windows of Fairlawn Ridge. My other family had arrived. These weren't charity-run bikers in Santa hats. These were men forged in loyalty and Steel Bear Twitch, and 10 more who looked like they chewed gravel for breakfast. Neighbors peeked out terrified and hopeful at the same time. Razor pulled me into a rib-cracking hug. "Heard you had some trouble with the neighborhood watch," he said. "They broke Art's arm," I told him. His grin vanished. His eyes went cold. Then Fred showed up. Nervous Fred, khaki shorts, sweat on his forehead, whispering about drones buzzing outside his bathroom window and black SUVs following his wife. Karen had turned surveillance into a science project. Drones patrols, intimidation. It wasn't amateur hour. She was running a military operation. That meant we had to run one too. Twitch hacked her drone network before sunset. He grinned like a kid opening presents, whispering, "They're as secure as a screen door on a submarine." Meanwhile, Bear's Recon spotted the SUVs. Ex-military, ex-cops. Real mercs. So we set a trap. In an alley behind Elm Street, a dumpster forced their vehicle to slow. When the SUV crawled past, we hit them flashlights, blinding pipes, smashing glass hands, dragging them out before they knew what hit them. 10 seconds and 4 mercenaries were on the ground. We handed 3 to the deputies with an anonymous tip, but kept 1. In Grandpa's garage, under a bare bulb, I leaned close and asked, "Who are you working for?" He sneered, stayed quiet until Twitch stormed in holding his laptop. "Boss, you gotta see this." Drone footage filled the screen. Karen Tom standing under a street lamp, meeting with a man I never thought I'd see again. Marcus Thorne. 10 years ago in Afghanistan, he sold out my unit for a payday. 2 of my men died. We thought he was dead, but there he was alive, plotting with Karen. And his plan wasn't just to evict families. He was going to stage a gas leak, rig the line with explosives, wipe out half the block, then buy the ruins for pennies. That's when my stomach dropped. In the files we seized among wire transfers and fake agreements was my grandpa's signature. Arthur Jensen. $50,000 wired to Karen. The old man I trusted more than anyone. Tied to their scheme. My blood turned to ice. I wanted to believe it was forged, but it looked real. For a moment I almost quit. Maybe I'd been played. Maybe I was fighting the wrong war. But then I remembered Fred whispering about the Hendersons' baby on Chestnut Street. If I walked away that baby, my grandpa, everyone on that street, they'd all die in a firestorm. So I shoved down the doubt. Whatever the truth was, I wasn't letting Marcus Thorne light a match under sleeping families. At 2 a.m., we intercepted his demolition crew. One with a shotgun, one with C4. They never saw us coming. Bear crushed the guard like paper. I knocked the breath out of the demo man and put my boot on his throat. We tied them up, confiscated the explosives, and found more blueprints, laptops, and payment ledgers. Proof enough to burn Karen and Thorne. Proof enough to burn my grandpa, too, if it came to that. The next night, the HOA meeting became the battlefield. The clubhouse was packed with terrified residents. Karen strutted in with Thorne at her side, 2 new bodyguards looming like statues. She smiled that fake smile, waving contracts, pretending Omnicorp was here to help after the tragic gas leak. She thought she'd already won. That was my cue. The projector behind her flickered, then switched. Drone footage of her and Thorne filled the screen, his voice cold and clear. By morning, the fire department will declare half the block unsafe. A tragic gas leak. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Twitch had hijacked every screen in town, even people's phones. Next came the payment ledger, Karen's bribes highlighted in red, and finally the video confession of the mercenary we captured laying it all out. Karen's face drained of color. Thorne leapt to his feet, shouting for his guards to shut it down. But before they could move, the clubhouse doors burst open. Razor and the iron sentinels filled the entrance, leather and steel, forming a wall that froze everyone in place. I walked down the aisle, calm, steady. "Sit down, Marcus. The presentation isn't over." Thorne's hand twitched. He pulled a pistol, leveled it at me. "You're all dead," he snarled. And that's when I heard my grandpa's voice. "I wouldn't do that if I were you, Marcus." He stood sling on his broken arm, holding up an old tape recorder. He pressed play. Thorne's voice echoed through the room. "Just take the money, old man. Nobody has to know you were my first point of contact." Then my grandpa's voice firm. The deal was to get rid of Karen, not destroy the neighborhood. "I'm out." A struggle, a crack, his cry of pain, the sound of his arm breaking. My knees almost buckled with relief. He hadn't betrayed us. He'd played Thorne, baiting him, recording everything, sacrificing his own safety to drag the truth into the light. The room exploded in chaos, residents shouting, Karen sobbing, Thorne shaking with rage. But before he could fire, the front doors slammed again. This time it wasn't bikers. It was state troopers in tactical gear, rifles raised. "Drop the weapon," they barked. For a moment I thought Thorne would shoot anyway. But then he saw it in their eyes. Certainty, no escape. His shoulders slumped. The pistol clattered to the floor. Cuffs snapped onto his wrists, Karen's too. And just like that it was over. The woman who thought she could sell out an entire community. The man who thought he could burn families alive for profit. Both of them dragged away in chains. My grandpa stood tall, bruised but unbroken. I finally understood. He hadn't just survived their attack. He'd orchestrated the finale, making sure justice came down harder than any fist or bullet. And me, I realized something in that moment. Sometimes the line between law and revenge blurs until you can't see it anymore. But when innocent lives are on the line, hesitation is just another form of surrender. Because peace, real peace, is never given. It's taken back.